Gloria stared out the window of her fiance's childhood bedroom. She noticed the fog cling to the houses and trees, creating an opaque blue screen over the entire landscape. With only half an hour left for the sun to set, nightfall appeared to have started earlier that day. She glanced back at the open door. The voices of her soon-to-be in-laws drifted up the stairs and into the room. Gloria was waiting for her fiancée, Cindy, to shower before heading downstairs. Rubbing her hands together, she focused on the scene outside, even though it added to her mood. If it weren't for Cindy's insistence, Gloria would not have bothered to visit Cindy's family. She felt like a complete outsider, even though she had known Cindy and her family for a few years now. Gloria knew that they hadn't accepted her, since they hadn't even accepted the fact that their only daughter was gay. Gloria heard the water turn off next door and sat on the edge of the bed. Cindy walked out, toweling off her long dark hair, her head bent sideways. She had on her oversized ugly Christmas sweater with the glittery pom-poms and gingerbread tights underneath. Gloria glanced down at her outfit, realizing she never owned a Christmas sweater since she was born and raised in Miami. "You waited for me?" Cindy asked, her face obscured by the thick towel. "Yeah," Gloria said, standing. Cindy dropped the droopy towel into the hamper next to the wooden desk and glanced at Gloria. "I think I have an extra Christmas sweater." "Sure, thanks." Rummaging through the large suitcase on the floor, Cindy tossed Gloria a bright green sweater. Gloria closed the door and pulled her sweater off. As she lifted her arms, she felt clammy hands on her belly. She yelped and yanked on the sweater. Cindy was up against her, smiling. "What are you doing? Your parents are downstairs," Gloria said, looking at the closed door. "What? You think they're going to come in and see us?" Cindy said. Gloria stepped back, adjusting the sweater. It was a bit snug and itchy. She noticed Cindy folding her arms and knew that she was annoyed. "I'm sorry, but I don't feel comfortable," Gloria said as she opened the door. "You haven't been comfortable since we got here," Cindy said quietly. "Cindy!" Cindy's mother called. "We're coming," Cindy said, and started down the stairs without looking back. Gloria sighed. Gradually she took each step, her heart beating in rhythm. In the dining room, the table was set with a candlelit centerpiece and all the pieces of a complete table setting. A mixture of ham and spices wafted in the air. In the kitchen, Cindy was helping her mother pull out serving plates from the cabinets. Gloria heard a shout and turned to watch Cindy's father and younger brother sitting in the living room watching a football game. Cindy's mother noticed her. "Gloria, why don't you take this and put it on the table?" she said, and gave her a plate heaping with mashed potatoes. Gloria pushed the centerpiece and placed the plate down. As she turned, she almost collided with Cindy's mother as she reached past Gloria and rearranged the centerpiece back in place, moving the plate beside it. Feeling a buzz from the 2 full glasses of red wine, Gloria sat alone on the sofa. Through the glass sliding doors, she saw the fog lingering as it caused a glowy haze around the halogen streetlight at the edge of the backyard. It sent a chill to run along her limbs. Footsteps brought Gloria's attention to the living room. "Everyone went to bed. Did you see how much wine they all had? They're going to be out all night," Cindy said. Gloria checked the time on her phone. It was a little past midnight. "I guess we should go to bed too." "Why? It's Christmas Day. We don't have any plans. We could watch some TV," Cindy said, and grabbed the remote. She dimmed the lights, leaving the TV to light up the area. Gloria wanted to protest, but decided against it. She had already had a strike before dinner, and wanted to hold on to the 2 she had left. Halfway through watching Home Alone, Gloria fell asleep, her head bobbing. Stirring, she peered at Cindy, who was snoring softly, slouched into the corner of the sofa with her arm resting under her cheek. Gloria realized that there was a haze in the living room. She rose and headed to the kitchen. but none of the appliances were on. From the kitchen window, she could see the fog pressing against it. The street lamp was a small speck in the distance. Cindy moaned. Gloria turned back to the living room and jumped. Small figures dotted the living room, about 6 of them, all facing Gloria. They stood still like figurines, yet she could hear their heavy breathing. From the light of the TV, Gloria could see that they were outfitted with vest tops, trousers, and a pointy hat. One of them waddled towards her. "How did you get inside? Who are you?" Gloria asked. She glanced at Cindy, who was still asleep. The elven figure didn't answer, but lifted a finger to his lips, and then pointed at Cindy. Gloria gasped as she noticed that another elf had a blade to Cindy's throat. "Please don't," Gloria said. Gloria searched for something to use and saw a bread knife on the kitchen counter. The elf that was close motioned for her to go to the sofa. Checking that none of the elves were watching her, Gloria swiped the bread knife and stuck it into the sleeve of her sweater. The elf with the knife pointed it at Gloria, and she sat down. Cindy stirred and woke. Gloria pressed her hand to her mouth just as Cindy was opening it to scream. Cindy's fearful eyes locked onto Gloria, and she shook her head. 4 elves began to make their way to the staircase. Gloria could hear their footsteps ascending. Her heart raced as she anticipated screaming and scuffling. Moments passed, and then footsteps. The 4 elves paraded back into the living room. Each had a knife by its side, blood dripping from the tips. Gloria heard Cindy choke back a sob. "What do you want? We could have given it to you. You didn't have to kill them," Gloria said. The elves shook their heads in unison. The elf with the knife pointed upwards, then to her, and then to Cindy. An icy sensation crept into Gloria, as frigid as the air outside, as she realized the elves were here for them. The other elves began to shuffle closer to the sofa. Gloria reached for the bread knife in her sleeve. She could feel the hilt. She peered at Cindy, who was covering her mouth with her hands, tears streaming over them. Cindy looked at Gloria, and Gloria mouthed, "Get ready." Cindy nodded. The elf with the knife raised his short arm, the knife gleaming from the light of the TV. Gloria yanked out the bread knife, tearing her sweater, and sliced at the elf. Blood sprayed as it caught the elf by the throat. It staggered back, dropping its knife and clutching at its throat. Time slowed as Gloria grabbed Cindy and pulled her towards the kitchen. Dashing through, Cindy took a knife from the knife board and found themselves in the dining room. Running footsteps followed them. The dining table held several trays of cookies and sweets, leftovers from the Christmas dinner. Pulling on Cindy's sleeve, Gloria headed towards the front door as they crossed the second living space. Cindy almost tripped over Gloria as she stopped abruptly. One of the elves was standing in their way, clutching a knife in its grubby hand. Turning back, they put the dining table between themselves and the ever-creeping elves. Gloria took one of the trays and tossed it at the elves. The lid flew off, and the tray turned over, spilling its contents on the 3 of them. The elves screeched as the cookies made contact. Their knives plodded down onto the carpet, and they grabbed at their faces, swinging back and forth. Between their fingers, liquid gushed as their faces seemed to melt. One by one, the elves collapsed to the floor. The other 2 elves scattered, one crawling under the table and the other heading into the kitchen. Cindy took the remaining tray, removed the lid, and she tiptoed around the table. Gloria stepped back and watched as the elf, under the table, lashed at her legs. She stabbed down at the elf, missing its arm by inches. Gloria moved away from the table and lowered herself to her knees. Her body shook, almost causing her to tip over. Peering into the shadows underneath the table, Gloria searched for a movement. Rapid footsteps and a yell greeted her as the elf dashed towards her with the knife in front of its face. Gloria leaned to the side, and the elf tripped over her knees. Swinging back up, she brought the bread knife down onto its back. It screamed, thrashing its limbs onto the floor. Gloria drove the knife deeper, and the elf stopped. Scrambling to her feet, Gloria ran into the kitchen and found Cindy wrestling on the tiled floor with a half-melted elf. Her face was cut, and it bled freely. Gloria kicked the elf, and it soared into the dishwasher. Groaning, it got up and scanned the area. Cindy found her knife nearby. She rolled over and jammed it into the elf's chest. It gurgled and slumped over, its pointed head tipping forward. Gloria helped Cindy up to her feet. She could feel her body quaking. Taking a dish towel, she wiped at Cindy's face. "Are there more?" Cindy asked. "I don't think so," Gloria said, peering at the living room and then the dining room. "They killed..." Cindy started. Gloria embraced Cindy as she stared out the kitchen window. The fog was retreating as the early morning light etched across the sky. Thank you for listening to the Chillingly Bizarre podcast. For bonus content, check out chillinglybizarre.com. This was Season 2, Episode 11, titled Yuletide Fear, and it was written by JDW. The episode was narrated by JDW. All characters are voiced by JDW. Credits go to freesound.org and its following contributors: Spooky Modem, Unfa, Ratana, MacGyver, Breviceps, Mr. Rap for Food, 16F Panska, Woodstock, Lucas Duff, Bennett 1505, Castura, and Wax Socks. Please leave a review on the Spotify app or anywhere else you listen to the podcast.